What's up, everybody? Welcome to the Brewing Neighbor. I'm Danny, and today is my first brew in over 6 years since I hung up my hat. So today we're brewing an extract kit that is Block Party Amber from Northern Brewer. I think I got pretty much everything ready to go. Your batteries are charged up, so let's get brewing. Okay, so I opened up the kit and took a little bit of a gander at the instructions. There's a couple of things that I don't agree with that I'm going to take a few liberties on. We'll go over that here in a bit, but otherwise I'm going to leave all of my experience at the door and just follow the instructions that they provided. I did switch some steps. They say to decontaminate all your stuff while your wort is cooling. I decontaminated all my stuff up ahead because on top of brewing, I'm also filming. And I just thought that maybe for my first brew, it might be nice to have everything ready to go so that I don't screw up any timing. So, yeah, I got my bottling bucket, which is doubling as our fermenter, out of this kit, sanitized. I got the airlock sanitized. I got all the internals sanitized for the valve. And I have some scissors sanitized. We're going to want those extra clean so that we don't contaminate our yeast when we pitch that. I got all the stuff out from the kit that we're going to need today, and the remainder of the stuff is tucked away somewhere safe where we can use it on, I don't think we'll need it till bottling day. So, I believe the first thing that it wants us to do is we're going to place this, I believe it is 6 pounds of gold malt extract syrup into some hot water to get it nice and runny, easy to pour. Okay, we got that warming up in some warm water, and I believe the next step is we are going to fill up our brew kettle. Yes, indeed. It says fill the clean pot with 2.5 gallons of cool water. Place on stove uncovered over medium heat. Can oblige. Here's 1. And 2.5. I did forget to mention that they have in their instructions here, if your water is good enough to drink, it is good enough for brewing. Fill the clean pot with already did that. I do believe water quality actually matters. Previously, before I took a hiatus from this, I only had a water softener, and we have water out here that doubles as sandpaper, no joke. So I put that in immediately upon when I moved here. Since I've brewed last, I do have a whole home filtration system, and I've never had it tested, but water's very tasty, very clear, so that is what we're using today. All right, the next step is we are steeping our grains. I'm supposed to put this on medium heat. So we got this burner, 2.5 gallons, coming up to medium heat. We're going to put our grains in our grain bag. I think if we kind of put the bag in the sock, we can do this without making a relatively big mess. And they mentioned in the instructions, you see the grains kind of stop here. Don't tie your knot right there. You want the grains to be able to move around. So I'm going to come a couple inches off, a couple inches up from the surface of the grains. And we're just going to tie a nice simple overhand knot like that. And in we go to our water. Now here is the thing that I disagree with their instructions. I think I understand what they're trying to do here. They've written this for someone who's never ever done it before. I think it'll work just fine. These grains will release different flavors and different colors and enzymes and such as the temperature comes up. You can adjust the flavor of your brew depending on what temperature, when you put in your grains, so on and so forth, yada 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 science. All stuff that I forgot, but not entirely. Yep, nope. So what we're going to do, I think for an amber ale, I did a little bit of chatting with ChatGPT, and I said, what is the ideal temperature to steep the grains for an amber ale, which is what we're brewing today. And it said for the malty extracts of an amber ale, using an extract, it is most likely you'll want to steep these at 155 degrees. So the instructions say to leave this in there for 20 minutes at medium heat. Medium heat is like 300 to 350 degrees, obviously depending on your stove. And obviously it's not going to get that hot in just 20 minutes. Hang on, you got to check this out. So just this time while I've been talking, it is already releasing some of its color. Look at that beautiful caramel color. Pretty neat. So we got that going for us. What I'm going to change from the instructions, and I promise you this will be the only liberty that I take for the first brew, although I reserve the right to change my mind. I'd like to get this to 155 degrees for 20 minutes. So my little ThermoPro candy pen here, or candy thermometer, we're going to attach it. Come on now. There we go. We are just at the tip there. 68 degrees currently. Yeah, I'd like to, that's my change. We're gonna let this get up to, I'll keep it at medium heat because we don't want the bottom to burn anything. We'll get a burnt flavor if the bottom is super hot. The same reason you don't ever, I don't care what recipe you are brewing, never let your steep process go above 170 degrees. It'll taste burnt. That's not what we're looking for in this brew. So I'm just gonna let this simmer. Pay attention. Bring you back in as soon as there's something to see. Okay, so it has been 20 minutes since we turned this on. If we had followed the directions, it would be time to take the bag out and start bringing this to a boil. But if you'll see here, at 20 minutes, we've only reached 105.4 degrees. So we'd be missing out on a lot of flavor that these grains are supposed to provide. So I think I'm making the right decision. I might be conflating something from all grain to extract brewing, but I'm gonna run with it. Let me know in the comments below if I'm making a huge mistake, but I don't think so. So we're gonna let this get to 155, and then I'm going to hold it at 155 for 20 minutes, and then we will proceed to the next step. Check out this beautiful color though. We're up to 107 degrees. Smells good. Smells really good. And there we go. 20 minutes of steeping. We have been keeping it within a couple of degrees. I got it all the way down to low right now. I don't know what we're barking at. That's my brew dog, Sadie. So we're gonna go ahead and grab our grain sock. We're gonna let it drain. We do not want to squeeze it and let all the debris and powder into our wort. So what I like to do is kind of loop this up and put a chip clip over here. Kind of work like an anchor. It is out of our wort. Just kind of hanging there in suspension. And we can remove our thermometer now. This thing did a wonderful job. We'll go ahead and, oop, not long hold, my bad. So now we're cranking up the temperature to high. Look at that beautiful color. We're gonna get this to a rolling boil. We're gonna add in our extract, which is ultimately just food for yeast. And then we're gonna watch it for an hour, making sure it doesn't foam over. It's going pretty well so far. The smell's amazing. If I could somehow send this to you via the computer, I would. That technology doesn't exist yet, and I tell you what, the minute it does, it will be abused early. So, check back with you when we have a boil. Okay, we have a boil. You can see the foam that we're going to be battling for the next hour. I'm going to leave the burner on and slide our brew kettle off the heat. This is the sugar, for all intents and purposes, that our yeast is going to eat to make our beer. That's awful hot. I'm going to turn it off. And I just trimmed my fingernails so I can never get these things off. We need weaponry. There we go. About right. So this has been sitting in the warm water since we got started, so it ought to pour out pretty easily. Let's see here. I'm gonna grab our sanitized spoon. And the reason we want to not have this on the heat is because basically this is sugar. You don't want it sitting on that hot bottom and burning. It can give you an off flavor that you don't want. So we're gonna make sure before we put it back on the heat that it is adequately dissolved into our wort. Wort is unfermented beer. So go ahead and get that out. Yep. I can accept that. So we're gonna move that back over here. Turn the heat back up to high. We are looking to maintain a nice rolling boil without the foam going over. So this next part, well, it requires a little bit of babysitting, but that's okay. So we're gonna get it up to a rolling boil. Then we're gonna add in our hops, actually. Then we're gonna set a timer for 60 minutes. We're gonna babysit it for 60 minutes. And then we will press on. Okay, here we go. Okay, it's been a couple of minutes. We are back up to a boil with the extract syrup added in. It smells really good. We're getting really foamy here. So we are going to add our hops. This recipe has Willamette hops in it. And Northern Brewer has this nice bag you just tear open and oh man alive, look at that. So we're gonna go ahead. We got our boil. We're gonna toss those in. I'm gonna go ahead and decrease the heat a little bit because we got foamage. And we're gonna set the timer for 60 minutes. And now I'm going to spend the next hour just monitoring this for foam. We don't want spillage. We're just trying not to make a mess, and we're trying not to waste our wonderful beer. And yeah, I'll bring you guys in if you need to see anything. Otherwise, just, I don't know, maybe I'll do a time lapse. Wow, first off, thank you so much for hanging out with me today. I'm not sure if you can tell on camera or not, but I was definitely a little timid getting back into brewing, especially with the camera rolling. but I told myself I'd keep it real and authentic with you. This was my first boil in years, and honestly, it went off without a hitch. I just kind of hovered nearby, kept an eye on things, flipped through some directions to make sure I wasn't forgetting a step, ate some pasta salad, and scrolled on my phone a bit. You know, the usual. It was this strange little blend of calm and focus, like I was right where I needed to be. And before I knew it, my hour was up. I pulled it off the heat, shut off the burner, and just like that, we're on to the next step. Let's go ahead and get this filled up with some cool water. We're gonna bring, I'll be careful not to get water in our brew kettle. I'm gonna sneak this all the way over to the corner, at least for now. Make sure we're safe. This is going to help cool our wort quickly. It is important to do this quickly, at least to the best that you can. I used to have a wort chiller, which was a spiral copper. It was like a radiator, but instead of, it was like a radiator. You went in there and you run cool water through it, and you can shake it up and down and it'll cool it down real quick. But that has gone. I'm going to leave a little bit of space in here, and before I hit record, I ran down to the gas station to get some ice because my ice maker is abysmally small. Alright, there we go. We got our wort in an ice bath. Directions say to give it half an hour, so that is just what we will do. And then we're going to transfer it to the fermenter, and we are off to the races. This is going pretty well. What do you guys think? Cool. So I think I just discovered another gap in the instructions from the starter kit. It's been half an hour. I have sanitized my instant read thermometer, and we do not want to pitch our yeast until our wort is way closer to 70 degrees. We're still sitting at 108. 108. That'll probably not kill the yeast, but it's going to bring out all the flavors that we don't want. So we could add some cool water into the wort. But if we take a look at our ice bath, it's reached itself up to 96 degrees. So I'm going to give it another bath. We're just going to bring this up here real quick so that I can unscrew our basin. I'm out of ice. I added all the ice I had, including the bag that I bought. So we're just going to give it another cool dip of cool water. We might, so the instructions say to add a gallon of cool water to the fermenter before pouring this in. We may just do it in here so that I can keep watching it. I want to make sure to get the wort down to the appropriate temperature. I forget what the name of the flavor is when yeast is too hot. We're using, this recipe calls for the standard US-05. It actually says on here, looks like ideally 64 to 78 degrees tops. So we're going to split that in the middle. 70 I think will be fine. I don't know, we'll see if we can get down there. Water coming out of the tap. It's coming out at 65 degrees. So, you know, whatever we can do. We'll go ahead and start getting this cooled down. We just have to do what we have to do. I wonder if I just let my basin overflow to the open one and I just hold it right here, if this would be an effective way to chill my wort. Okay, I just had to look up that word that I forgot. For US-05, ideal range for tossing in the yeast is 65 to 70 degrees. That's in Fahrenheit. Above 75 degrees, you're entering the danger zone. Expect increased esters, possible fusel alcohols, and off flavors like solvents, fruits, maybe even banana. We don't want that. I don't like banana. Above 80 degrees, you're risking a hot fusel bomb. I don't know what fusel is. Fusel alcohols happens when you ferment too hot or underpitch yeast. They're off flavors that happen when fermentation goes sideways. Too hot, too fast, or too stressed. Keep US-05 cool and comfy. We're not trying to stress it out. And it will stay clean and tasty. Let's see where we're at. It's significantly decreasing pretty good. Let's get a temperature here for this. 72. This is working pretty well. I have I saved some of my sanitizer, and every time I go between my basin and my wort, I've just been sterilizing this because at this point it's not boiling and we don't want to introduce any bacteria that we didn't intentionally put in there. So I'm just going to bounce this around a little bit. We'll add some more cool water in just a minute. I think we're going to be able to get this below 70. This is cooling down way slower than I would like, so I am going to add 1 gallon of cool water right into our brew kettle. The instructions say to add the gallon of cool water to the fermenter, but I want to keep an eye on the temperature of it, and I don't want to put the fermenter in here because it has the shut-off valve in it, and that could risk any goop from the sink getting stuck in crevices, and while we ferment, something could go awry, and we want to avoid that. So I'm just going to let this get all the way cool. I'll find my 1 gallon mark that I'm looking for. We'll fill it up. We're going to see how well that cools this down. We will have to add roughly another gallon to the fermentation bucket. I would like to add at least a little bit in there. You want to aerate what is in the fermentation bucket a little bit before you toss in your yeast. I don't remember why, but you're not supposed to aerate your wort once the yeast has been tossed. That's a bread thing, not a beer thing. We can figure that out later. Put that on the to answer list for later. There we go. Okay. Just sanitize this again. Let me give it a good wipe. We're at 77.7, 777. I think if we add another gallon in the fermenter, we'll be where I want to be. So I feel pretty good about that. Let me get some stuff rearranged, and we're almost there, ladies and gentlemen. Oh yeah, making a mess. Okay. We got our wort. We have our sanitized fermenting bucket that doubles as a bottling bucket. Fine, whatever. This is roughly 3.5 gallons of water. So here I go again, bastardizing the instructions that I said earlier that I was going to do very minimally. I'm going to add 1 gallon of water into our fermenter. Whoop. But I'm going to tell you why. I want to make sure that the gaskets are sealed on the nozzle, on the spigot, whatever that thing's called, because I don't want to pour our wort in there and then find out we have a leak. We can get more water. We can't unwind the clock and make more wort right now. See? It was open. It's not leaking, it was open. Excuse me, I gotta find a towel. Not good for hardwood. You'll have that. I'm just gonna give it a good inspection here, and we are dry all the way around. I'm okay with that. We're up to the 1 gallon mark. Now we're going to take our wort and pour it in. Oh yeah. Okay, got a little bit of crud left in there. That is all hops. I'm going to take our sanitized thermometer again. We're at 74. We're not quite to the 5 gallon mark yet. Can we bring it down to 70? We'll go nice and slow up to the 5 gallon mark. Right there. Let's give it a good mix. Come on, baby. We're just above 70. To be exact, it was 70.7. We can live with 0.7 of a degree. So now, with these scissors that we sanitized, I want to bring your yeast down to the bottom so you're not wasting it. Cheers, guys. And toss it in. Pop on our top. And this thing's got an incredible seal on it. So you want to make sure you got that click all the way around. Go ahead and visually inspect it. Okay. And one final step. We need our airlock. We're going to put that in the airlock gasket. This might work. Take some of the sanitizing solution that I put in a water bottle, and we're going to try to fill it up to the max line on the airlock. Put the cap on. There we go. We just completed my first brew in over 6 years with all my brand new stuff. Guys, thank you so much for hanging out with me. It means the world to me. This was so much fun. I can't wait to see where this goes. My final step with this is I'm going to put it into my spare bedroom's closet that I have cleared out. Every room in my house has windows and the temperature can fluctuate. The idea of putting it in the closet gives it that little extra barrier of protection. We want this to be at a very consistent temperature while it ferments. I'll bring you in here using shorts should anything interesting happen, and I will see you on the next one where we take this and move it to the secondary fermenter. Thanks again so much, and I'll see you on the next one.